everyone. I welcome you to another video by Legacy IAS. Here we are going to talk about a very difficult process. Some people find it extremely difficult as to how to maintain this routine and whether we should even have a timetable in the first place. Is it too overrated? Should every aspirant have it? Let's find the answers to these questions and hopefully you'll be able to benefit from it. Now, as far as any individual is concerned, we have a entire thought about our life, and especially when we wake up in the morning. For a lot of people, they wake up and they do their daily chores, but towards the end, it also is important to understand that there is a certain purpose with which you would want to start and accomplish your day. This is especially true with civil service aspirants for whom time is very, very precious, right? Just as there is going to be a ship who's moving without a direction. If there is a ship like that, then obviously there's not going to be a destination that it might reach to. If you have that plan and thought and direction in mind, you basically get where you want to reach. Moreover, if there is such a plan, thought, and initiative from your end, there's also going to be a lot of divine support. As this quote says, that no wind blows in favor of a ship without a direction. In this case, what is this wind? It is some blessing from the Almighty, from some source and energy of power who's just there to support us in our journey. So let us also put in whatever is required in this particular process. Now, as far as the examination is concerned, we are all aware that this entire examination takes place in 3 stages. Okay. Now, the question is, from which stage should you start the preparation for? A lot of people have different ideas. You should start from prelims, because if you don't clear the prelims, then there's no question of other stages. You should start with mains, because that requires a major chunk and it's a determinant of your clearing the examination. It also requires a lot of preparation and time. Okay, I just have a slight tweak here. Not that I disagree with these, but I have a small addition of mine, and that is, it's always good to start with how you have to be at the stage of the interview. When you understand the kind of candidate these people are looking for, the board is looking for, if you understand the importance of the syllabus, the mindset behind the syllabus, if you understand the nature of the job that you're required to do as a civil servant, you will understand that you have to think in a certain way, you have to kind of collaborate multiple perspectives, listen to different opinions, be calm about it, you have to have a balanced approach. So a lot of these perspectives where you just have to be much better prepared. The mindset development is something which is essential for your interview, but should be how you should start your entire preparation from. If that mindset is very clear from the outset, the studying for prelims as well as the mains, in fact, the major content studying is going to be much more effective and beneficial, because you understand why you're doing this, what you're doing it for, right? So keeping all of this in mind, we basically can have that kind of a mental preparation before we start our content study. Now, as far as the content study is concerned, if we look at the entire preparation of any aspirant, now if the aspirant is a beginner, it makes all the more relevance to them, because in terms of our current strategy. If you are experienced, which means you've given it once or twice, okay, once where you have basically tested the waters, and twice where you are much better prepared, when you're going for it again, you basically are basically in a space where there are certain things which you've identified as your strong areas, and there are areas in which you have to work upon. So based on that, you can make those slight changes. All right. And if you're a veteran, I think you should be able to understand where is it that you're going wrong. And when you do that, there should be a continued focus on that while also revising the other areas which are your strong points. So, as far as people who are basically starting in this journey, if you're looking at an entire 1 year plan, let's say the suggested time which I have picked up here is from June to June, which means that if your exam is in the June of next year, then you should start preparation ideally in the June of this year. And if you do that, then how should your entire plan look like? Okay, if you look at the months from June to October, then we are essentially talking of the period of just stepping into the water. Okay, so your first basic preparation should be starting from the NCRTs, where you are going to be looking up into what is the foundation of every subject. Okay, now if you are not sure of the book list that is basically that you basically have to refer to, then you can check up the link here and see that which are the important books that you can refer to, that you can look up, and that are important for the preparation process. Okay, which includes not just your NCRTs but all the standard textbooks which are needed for the entire preparation. All right, so the entire list is being shared, you can refer to it. The other important thing which is very important is that during the first stage of reading, which we are doing from June to October, okay, when we are reading the book for the first time, there is a process of how basically you are or you should be able to cover this particular portion from June to October. Okay, and then before you move on to the next set of stage which in which you will be doing your first set of revision, you should be well acquainted with your notes. You should be well acquainted with how basically you should be making notes for your NCRTs as well as the standard books. So when you do that, when you make the notes for from your first reading of your NCRTs as well as your standard books, the next time onwards you only have to refer to those very notes. You need not open those books again. That is not the purpose, and that is the whole point of making those notes. The first reading will actually require a greater effort from you, where you are supposed to read them and you're also supposed to make the notes of it, so that for the second or the third you are having a much consolidated effort and you are able to apply the information which you have received. So coming back to our first stage, which is from June to October, we go through the NCRTs and the standard textbooks. In case you are not able to understand how to make notes and you're not able to, really make sense of how to concise it, please go through the video which is there on note making. All right, so here all the standard book notes, and also very important is the optional note making. Okay, whereby again we're talking of really big numbers, two separate papers devoted to optionals. How do we really make cover this portion and revise it effectively before our mains exam? So for that, again, notes for your optional is also very very important. What is also important is that you cover your current affairs through the newspaper, again through the practice of making notes, whereby you segregate it according to the paper or according to the subject, and you keep on compiling them for the year ahead. So in the first reading that you basically will be doing from June to October, you will understand the concept, you will understand the broad idea, make the relevant notes out of it, and then move on to the next stage, which is from November to February. Now, in this stage, you will definitely be doing the first revision of it. In case sometimes you want to refer to the original book, you may. That is still okay, that you might have missed out, or you still want to understand the broad concept, that what was the philosophy behind it. For that, you may have to read a little more. That is acceptable in some situations, but broadly it's also encouraged that you make your notes very very exhaustive, at least the static notes. I'm not talking of the current affairs notes. You continue with your newspaper reading and your newspaper notes, and always just try to have constant revisions of the same as well, so that just before June you need not just open your newspaper notes and start revising it. It is suggested that after the end of the week, you can just go through or revise whatever you've done in the week, especially in the case of the newspaper, because then your thoughts become consolidated. What is also very important in this stage that between November to February, you actually start doing your mains answer writing. Now, for some people, you might not have finished maybe some portion of optional or even the GS papers. It's still okay. You can extend it here as well. Try to give yourself try to make that extra effort and cover those portions which you've not been able to finish, and also parallelly start your mains answer writing. November is a good time if you've already started from June. It's a good time to start writing your mains answers. You can start with, let's say, 2 to 3 answers per day and then move to 4 to 5 answers per day. And then also add it with your essays. So you can start with, let's say, two essays per week. So when you start with 2 essays per week, that's a very good start, and you can just increase it to 3, or you can even stick to 2 based on how much of revision you have to do, how much of newspaper reading you have to do, and note making that is still required for newspapers. Okay, based on that kind of time, focus on the mains answer writing and essay writing. And finally, when we're looking just before, months before the prelims exam, we should be doing our second revision again based on notes, finishing off the newspapers which are required. You can stop, let's say, about 10 days before the exam for your newspapers and wait for your exams to finish and cover those last 10 to at max 15 days. Although it is still advisable to at least, if not make the notes, go through what is happening, go through till 2 days 3 days before the exam also, because it's always just advisable to, if not make the notes, at least read through the major topics which are there in news. And finally, and very important, before the prelims, go through the prelims test between March to June, so that you are very well prepared for the examination. Sometimes it is suggested you to not go through the test series, write mock tests just a week before the examination. That is a personal strategy as well, but in either case, between this time period of March to June, please do the prelims test series. So here, if we basically follow this pattern, and then after your prelims, you basically then come back to your mains preparation. So we can restart this particular process which we had in our second stage, restart our mains answers, restart our essays, revise our optional, revise all the newspaper reports, and then be better prepared for our mains. So here, when we are looking at this particular entire strategy, we also have just a couple of things to keep it in our mind before we move forward. Please give yourselves time on Sunday, if not the full day, at least 3/4 of the day. It's very important for you to relax, rejuvenate, consolidate what you've studied. And for some cases, people who have not been able to stick to the timetable for personal reasons, health reasons, whatever may be the situation, just finish that off so that you are much happier when you move on to the next week. Also, for the art of note making and the list of books to read, I have mentioned the links here. You can go through them and also refer in case of any confusion. Towards the end, start with reading, keep on revising, get good amount of rest, and repeat this process till you achieve your goal. I really hope you've benefited from the video. Thank you so much.